Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is the only substantial candidate that will be running against Biden and Trump, most likely Trump, in the 2024 presidential election, has just announced that he's asked NFL star Aaron Rodgers and Jesse Ventura if they would run with him as VP, and both have said they would be interested. So why is this so significant and potentially a great thing, not only for UFO disclosure, but for so many other issues for the American country as a whole and for the world and humanity as a whole? So Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you can learn a lot more about him and his specific policies. Now, nobody's perfect. You may agree and disagree with certain things, but one thing's clear. He would be someone who would try to do their best and he's anti-corruption. He's anti all of the nonsense that's been going on for so many years where elite groups who do not have the best interests of the American people at hand are taking advantage of the system. There's so many examples and confirmed cases of this that we could cite, but he's at least against that. And he may not be perfect on every issue, but he's clearly way more aligned for truth, for taking down whatever you want to call it, kind of a structure of the elite controlling everything and the people being manipulated and taken advantage of. And that's what we really need, at least as a baseline, as a president, not just someone else who's going to be pushing some agenda that is not really benefiting the people, the population. If you actually take the time to listen to everything he says, I think that you'd probably agree with a lot of the issues and where he stands on it. I think he can appeal to different people who align on the so-called right and left. And the great thing is that he is actually going to be on the ballot. As he said in a recent interview, he will be a choice on all state ballots, is what he has said. And apparently, according to The Hill, that costs $15 million. So it's just such a joke for anyone that wants to run for president. You need so much money to even be on the sheet that people fill out to vote for someone. Otherwise, you got to write them in. And so I think he actually has a chance. Now, he has recently stated who his VPs may be. And at the top of his list, as he's been quoted, are Aaron Rodgers and Jesse Ventura. And these are great choices, in my opinion. And I'm going to explain why I think they're great choices here. So, and what this would mean and how this could help his election and what this would stand for symbolically for a lot of people and for the American people in different groups, different interest groups. So let's start with Aaron Rodgers. First of all, Aaron Rodgers, quarterback, NFL, 4-time NFL MVP. And if you don't know much about football, that's huge. Like, to win the MVP 4 times is crazy. So this guy's like an icon. You know, he's won a Super Bowl, and he's always had a good kind of demeanor and even-keeled. Now, recently, he's been put under the fire because he's an anti-vaxxer, so-called. He didn't take the COVID vaccine, and he got a lot of pushback from the media on that, and he was kind of vilified, and he kind of just went through it even-keeled. And if you listen to him talk, he's been on the Joe Rogan podcast a couple times. He's been on other shows. He's very even-keeled. He's a very intelligent guy. You can, if you really watch him and listen to him, you can tell that he just wants to be a decent person and do what's right for the people and take down corruption.
I'm for all corruption in all forms being taken down. I don't give a fuck if you're on the right side, on the left side, whatever.
He has quotes directly saying things that I think most people who want change and who want honesty and integrity, it would really resonate with. Now, in other senses, he is also open-minded. He's not going to just be another status quo person. If you watch, he actually, on one of the Joe Rogan episodes, he had an ayahuasca experience that he talks about. And he actually says that his ayahuasca experience is, I think he said it was the main reason or one of the main reasons why he had such a fantastic year, and even maybe was been the Super Bowl year. I'm not sure about that, but he did say that the ayahuasca session really helped him with his NFL performance. And so the point being there is he's open-minded to things. He's not just another cog in the machine. He also, just this last fall, he publicly said that he saw a UFO. And he explained what happened. And so he's clearly sympathetic to the UFO cause. He knows that something's going on there. This is the kind of people, and he's young. He's 40. I think he's in his early 40s, or he's 40. He's appealing to a wide range of people, right and left, right? You got your, macho football America, patriotic, all-American people being like, hey, it's Aaron Rodgers, bro, And then people on the progressive side, I mean, the guy's talking about doing ayahuasca, seeing UFOs. Has the integrity to stand up against the disinformation of the whole COVID thing, which is all coming to light now, years later. And he's brave enough to stand up and not care that his status as this untouchable, amazing celebrity sports icon, he doesn't care about it. Listen to him on Joe Rogan. He talks about all that. And I actually think that he's a good person. And I actually think that he's the kind of person that we need in that type of a leadership position. Someone like that, and not someone like Donald Trump or Joe Biden for that instance. So Rodgers, I think that would be huge. The other part is that this would be very smart on JFK's part. Genius, really. Because if it's RFK, sorry, RFK Jr., if he's on the ballot, most people, okay, RFK Jr., most people are not going to take the time to learn what his policies are, what the deal is. But once it becomes news like Aaron Rodgers is running for VP, I think that would get so many more people talking about the election. I think it would get so many more people to be like, there's a reason to go vote. That would be cool to see Aaron Rodgers. We love Aaron Rodgers. He does have some stigma attached to him because he gets attacked for being an anti-vaxxer. And I'll talk about the New York Times article in a minute, which basically tries to discredit and smear him, which is ridiculous. But this would be very interesting, and I think it would actually really push up the attractiveness of voting for RFK Jr. And I think a decent segment of the population, especially younger millennials, Gen Xers, would want to go out and vote, especially if what Rodgers and Kennedy are, campaigning on is appealing to them. So let's talk about the other choice, Jesse Ventura. This is a great choice too. Honestly, this was inspiring for me to hear because Jesse Ventura for a long time has been a sort of like a hero to me, if I can call it that, because he was one of the people who started talking about these conspiracies that are real back, before YouTube, before this kind of modern era of conspiracy culture, conspiracy research, and people opening up and talking about these things more. Jesse was like on the cutting edge of that. And this was actually literally like the first book that I read about conspiracy theories. And he talks about a lot of different cases in here. This was in 2010. And he goes in on 9/11 and MK Ultra, the both Kennedy assassinations. Everybody talks about the JFK assassination, but the Robert F. Kennedy assassination, RFK Jr.'s dad, is even more obvious and crazy that it was just a CIA or CIA-affiliated planned assassination. It's wild. And he's also written other books, such as this one, where and everything is all cited. It's all facts. It's all data research. That's what's great about these books. And he takes down and shows how much corruption is between the Democrats and Republicans and how they're ultimately really just in bed with the corporations and all of that. And then in later years, he's kind of changed his policy towards cannabis legalization, which is, of course, still kind of controversial. But so he's an interesting guy. He's obviously someone who would be great for truths coming out, for corruption coming down, things like UFO disclosure, getting to the bottom of the truths. I mean, that's what he's really built his purpose around. And obviously, if you don't know who he is, he was a wrestler back in the day, before my time, but popular, famous wrestler. Then he actually became governor of Minnesota, and he was famous for winning as an independent, not Republican or Democrat. So he has this background. He has shown that he was a good governor from what I understand. He did a good job in his time in office there. He used to be a Navy SEAL. Now, he used to speak out a lot. After he came out with this speaking out at a very high level like this was not as common back then, early 2000s and so forth. And he came out right away calling out 9/11, saying that the information wasn't adding up. And there's some great clips of him going on The View and with Whoopi Goldberg and all of them, and just talking point blank and just being like, they're covering up something about 9/11. And this was radical. He got a lot of pushback, but he didn't care. He kept talking, and through all those years, eventually they smeared him. Eventually, the guy, American Sniper, the guy who killed bin Laden, I believe, this like American hero, he wrote a book, and in the book, he said that Jesse Ventura was at a Navy SEAL bar and was talking bad about America, and they got in a fight, and he knocked Jesse Ventura out. And Jesse Ventura sued him for defamation because the story was totally made up. Ventura won the lawsuit, and then he was villainized as, how could you go after a family of a widow? But anyway, that got him off because he used to get invited onto all those mainstream media channels like regularly to like hear his opinion on things. And he was saying important things, exposing corruption for what it is, exposing real conspiracies for what they are. And so he was basically kind of effectively shut up, and he has faded into the background. But he always said that he would run for president, and you don't hear much from him anymore now. He's pretty quiet. He lives in Mexico and kind of works behind the scenes a little bit. But if he were to come back out and be VP, that would be great. That would be amazing, epic. I mean, this is a guy that's just point blank, calling 9/11 for what it is, things like that. This would be the move in the right direction. But I think that Rodgers is a better choice than Ventura because Ventura is so open to being smeared. I mean, he literally had this huge show called American Conspiracies where he talked about all different kinds of things. He's, been very vocal and open about cannabis legalization. So the media and whoever can really take that down and could potentially ruin the whole appeal of the RFK Jr. campaign. So as much as I love Jesse Ventura, I hope maybe if RFK Jr. in the miracle that RFK Jr. would get elected, maybe Jesse could serve in the administration in some way, and that would be awesome. But I think Rodgers would be better, be more appealing to the masses. So this is really actually pretty inspiring. And RFK Jr. is going to announce his VP on March 26th. Now, according to New York Times, who smeared RFK already, this 2 days ago article, calling him a conspiracy theorist, calling Rodgers a conspiracy theorist. So it's so clear to see how the New York Times is in the pocket of certain powers. And they're really going to lead on the anti-vax thing, even though there's so many other issues that RFK Jr. would be involved with, but they're going to harp on that because it's so controversial and potentially detrimental. So he's going to announce on March 26th. And, I just think if they're on the ballot together, how many people would rather see Kennedy Rodgers than Trump or Biden? I think it could really be significant. And this could also be big for UFO disclosure, right? Gets a VP like Aaron Rodgers said he saw a UFO. You get somebody like RFK who already said he would release all the classified files. You get someone like Jesse Ventura involved in the administration as well, who is just all about exposing corruption and being transparent and doing the right thing and upholding the Constitution. And people will have bad things to say about them all, but I actually just think this is epic. And whoever he chooses, it would be epic. I really do believe. And hey, we can be hopeful. I mean, taking down that two-party state is very, very, very difficult, if not impossible. But if RFK Jr. can appeal to enough people, if he can work the system and do it in a smart way, and Aaron Rodgers, this major public figure, can come on board as a VP, I think we got a shot here. And if there was ever a time, it would be this 2024 election. People are fed up with both Democrat and Republican. And I think there's a lot of Republicans that are not really down with Trump. A lot of Democrats not down with Biden. And people looking for change. So this would be great. We'll see what happens on March 26th. But I love the news. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.